The world was young, wild, and profoundly silent. There was no concrete, no steel, no hum of engines. Only the wind whispering through ancient forest canopies, the rush of untamed rivers carving through stone, and the daily, unwritten epic of survival. Close your eyes and let us drift back to the very beginning of time, to the dawn of humanity. As the first pale light of morning paints the horizon in shades of cold crimson, a small tribe of early humans begins to stir beneath the shelter of a massive rock overhang. The campfire, which kept the creeping shadows and prowling beasts at bay through the long night, has faded to a bed of glowing, gray-dusted embers. The air is biting and crisp. The first breaths drawn from beneath thick, untanned animal hides bloom into small clouds of white steam in the freezing dawn. The elder of the tribe, a man whose face is deeply mapped with the lines of time and the harsh wilderness, slowly rises. He carefully places dry twigs over the dying embers and blows with a gentle, rhythmic breath. The crackle of the reborn fire is the official start of a new day, a new struggle to endure. There are no alarms in this ancient world. There is only the rumble of the stomach and the slow, inevitable awakening of the earth. As the sun climbs higher, the camp breathes into motion. There is no room for idleness in this era, for nature is an unforgiving master. The tribe moves in silent harmony, splitting their forces to secure their existence. The strong hunters, carrying fire-hardened wooden spears and hand axes chipped from sharp flint, vanish like ghosts into the dense, misty forest. Meanwhile, the gatherers, women, children, and elders, spread out across the vast, dew-covered valley surrounding their camp. For the gatherers, the wild is an enormous, complex library of life. A mother kneels in the damp soil, using a sharpened digging stick to unearth nourishing roots and tubers. In hushed tones, she teaches her small child which berries are sweet and which carry the kiss of poison. In this time, knowledge is not learned from pages, but from the razor-thin line between life and death. Hands become coated in mud, sap, and earth as woven baskets slowly fill with wild nuts, tart berries, and medicinal herbs. If the earth is generous, they will sleep with full bellies. Deep within the ancient woods, a different tension hangs in the air. The hunters glide over a carpet of dead leaves without making a single sound, moving as if they are part of the wind itself. Their eyes read the forest floor like a map, a snapped twig, a crushed fern, the fresh imprint of a cloven hoof. They constantly check the direction of the wind, knowing that a single misplaced scent could mean days of starvation. Suddenly, the leader raises a hand, and the hunting party freezes into statues. Ahead, grazing between the massive trunks, is a herd of large deer. Hearts pound against ribs, yet their breathing remains agonizingly slow and controlled. They tighten the circle. The stone-tipped weapons in their hands, though primitive, are marvels of deadly engineering. The moment of the strike requires not just physical strength, but an incredible patience and a deep communion with nature. A thrown spear, a brief moment of chaos, and then silence returns to the woods. The fallen animal is not merely meat. It is the warm hide for the coming winter, the bone for new tools, the lifeblood of the tribe. The hunters stand over it, offering a silent moment of respect, understanding that they are not the masters of this world, but merely a single link in its grand chain. By midday, the sun beats down from its zenith. Back at the camp, it is the time of the toolmakers. This is the miraculous spark that separates humanity from all other creatures. A man sits with a large nodule of flint gripped between his knees, striking it with a piece of heavy antler. Clack, clack, clack. The rhythmic sound of stone striking stone is the very first industrial heartbeat of history. Each precise strike flakes off razor-sharp pieces of rock. These shards will butcher the meat, scrape the hides, and shape the wood. Nearby, women stretch fresh animal skins, laboriously scraping them clean to ensure they will be soft and warm for the freezing nights ahead. The air smells of dust, sweat, wood smoke, and raw earth, the true scent of survival. Exhausting, relentless physical labor is woven into every second of the day. As the sun begins its descent, turning into a burning red sphere on the horizon, the shadows of the forest grow long and menacing. In the wild, the night belongs to the great cats and the roaming wolf packs, not to man. The tribe gathers their forged tools, the scavenged roots, and the hunted meat, retreating to the safety of the campfire's glowing circle. The exhaustion, fear, and tension of the day slowly melt away in the comforting warmth of the flames. Gathering around this fire, this small band of humans is unknowingly planting the seeds of civilization. As the meat sizzles over the open flame, the rich aroma fills the air. The food is shared equitably. The hunters recount the day's epic chase, using a symphony of gestures, deep grunts, and the very first spoken words. As they mime the throwing of the spear, the eyes of the children reflect the dancing firelight. This is the birth of storytelling, of culture, of art. When true night falls, the darkness beyond the fire is absolute. A distant howl echoes through the valley, causing a momentary stillness in the camp. But as long as the fire breathes, they are safe. The elders look up at the infinite, starry canopy above. They trace invisible lines between the glowing dots, giving them shapes, searching for meaning in the vastness. They wonder why the storms rage and why the earth provides. The very first myths, the earliest whispers of belief, are born on these freezing nights, shared in hushed voices around the dying embers. Slowly the heavy weight of sleep claims them. The appointed watcher takes his place by the fire, spear in hand, feeding it dry branches, while the rest of the tribe burrows deep beneath their furs. The wind howls gently at the cave's entrance, the fire crackles softly, and the ancient forest breathes around them. The first humans surrender to the embrace of a deep, restoring sleep, trusting that the sun will rise again over their wild, beautiful, and unforgiving world. Just as you too can now let go of the day and surrender to the peaceful, deep sleep of the night. As the night deepens, the world outside the glowing perimeter of the fire becomes an ocean of absolute black. The wind, which had been a mere whisper during the day, now sings a low, mournful lullaby through the jagged rocks and the towering ancient pines. It carries the scent of frost and damp earth, a reminder of the vast, untamed wilderness that stretches endlessly in every direction. Inside the shelter, the air is thick with the comforting smell of wood smoke and the shared warmth of the sleeping tribe. If you listen closely, you can hear the slow, rhythmic breathing of the sleepers, a steady, oceanic rise and fall that synchronizes with the very pulse of the earth itself. The fire watcher, wrapped tightly in a thick, heavy bear hide, sits motionless. His eyes, heavy with the weight of the dark hours, remain fixed on the glowing embers. Every so often, he reaches out with a calloused hand, carefully placing a dry, mossy branch onto the coals. The wood catches with a soft, comforting crackle, sending a tiny shower of golden sparks spiraling up toward the ceiling of the rock overhang, looking like captive stars trying to return to the night sky. This gentle pop and hiss of the fire is the only barrier between the tribe and the freezing void. It is a sound of pure safety. In the deep embrace of sleep, the minds of these early humans wander into the realm of dreams. Free from the physical exhaustion of survival, their spirits run wild. They dream of the great hunts, their legs moving effortlessly over the tall grass, the wind pushing gently at their backs. They dream of vast, shadowy herds of beasts thundering across the endless plains, of the silent spirits of the rivers and the mountains, of ancestors who have returned to the soil. Their sleep is profound and heavy, completely undisturbed by the anxieties of a modern world that does not yet exist. Here there are no clocks ticking away the seconds, no artificial lights to pierce the darkness. There is only the natural, unbreakable cycle of rest, governed solely by the moon and the shadows. The watcher listens to a distant owl hooting from a dead oak tree, a soft, echoing sound that blends perfectly with the crackling of the fire and the deep breathing of his kin. It is a symphony of peace, a prehistoric lullaby that tells the subconscious mind that it is safe to let go, safe to sink deeper into the heavy embrace of rest. Hours pass like slow-moving glaciers. The constellations wheel silently overhead, marking the passage of time on a massive celestial clock. The bitter cold bites at the edges of the cave, but the fire pushes it back, a small but defiant beacon of life. Even the wild predators of the night, whose distant, haunting calls occasionally echo through the valley, keep their distance from the sharp smell of smoke and the protective glow of the flames. The tribe is secure. As you listen to the steady, hypnotic sound of the wind outside and the gentle crackle of the burning wood, imagine yourself resting among them, wrapped in those warm, heavy furs. Feel the solid, ancient earth beneath you, grounding you, pulling all the tension from your muscles deep down into the soil. Let the absolute simplicity of this ancient world wash over you. There is nowhere else to be, nothing else to do. The exhausting struggle of the day is completely over. Only rest remains. Let the deep, rhythmic breathing of our ancestors guide your mind down into a state of total relaxation, drifting further and further into the quiet dark, until the boundaries between you and the ancient night dissolve entirely, leaving only peace. As the deepest hours of the night settle over the valley, time itself seems to stand still. The world enters a state of profound, undisturbed suspension. The campfire is now a soft, glowing bed of crimson coals, casting just enough light to paint the rough stone of the cave walls in warm, muted hues of orange and deep velvet shadow. The fierce wind that howled through the pines earlier has softened into a long, rhythmic sigh, sweeping over the valley like the breath of a slumbering giant. Everything is at peace. The wild predators have retreated to their dens, their hunting done, yielding the dark hours to the quiet rustle of the leaves and the slow shifting of the earth. Beneath the heavy, insulating layers of fur and hide, the tribe rests in perfect stillness. The harshness of their daily survival is completely forgotten, washed away by the healing tide of deep sleep. In this ancient stillness, the mind does not race with the worries of tomorrow. It simply exists in the present moment, tethered only to the gentle rise and fall of the chest. The earth beneath them is solid, ancient, and grounding. It absorbs all the tension from their tired muscles, pulling it down deep into the bedrock. If you focus, you can almost feel that same ancient earth supporting you now, holding your weight effortlessly, allowing every fiber of your being to completely relax. The solitary fire watcher sits with his chin resting lightly on his chest, his eyes half closed, lulled by the hypnotic, glowing pulse of the embers. He no longer needs to feed the fire. The thick logs have burned down to a steady, smoldering heat that will easily last until morning. The air inside the shelter is perfectly warm, smelling faintly of dried pine needles and ash. It is a cocoon of absolute safety in the middle of an untamed world. There is no danger here. There is no urgency. There is only the comforting blanket of the dark, wrapping around the camp, shielding them from the cold. Gradually, imperceptibly, the pitch-black sky above the distant mountain ridge begins to change. It does not brighten, but rather softens, transitioning from the heavy ink of midnight to a deep, bruised shade of indigo. The stars, which have watched over the sleeping tribe all night, begin to dim just a fraction. This is the false dawn, the quietest hour of the entire cycle, a moment of profound twilight before the sun even considers waking. In the forest below, a single solitary bird lets out a soft, sleepy chirp, a tiny sound that is instantly swallowed by the vast, quiet wilderness. It is a gentle reminder that the world is still spinning, still breathing entirely on its own. You do not need to wake with the dawn. You can remain here, safe within the warmth of the glowing coals and the heavy furs. Let the ancient rhythm of the night pull you even deeper. Your breathing matches the slow, steady sighs of the sleepers around you. In and out, slow and calm. The warmth of the fire radiates across your skin, soothing your mind, emptying it of all thought. You are completely safe. You are entirely at rest. Let the quiet darkness of this ancient world hold you in its gentle embrace, carrying you smoothly and peacefully through the rest of the night, until there is nothing left but the deep, quiet void of perfect sleep. As the false dawn slowly recedes, the world seems to take one long, collective breath and hold it. The absolute stillness of this ancient hour is profound, a heavy, comforting blanket that wraps around the very edges of the earth. Inside the rock shelter, the last remaining ember finally surrenders to the encroaching ash, fading from a dull, pulsing red into a soft, quiet gray. The fire has done its job, its warmth completely trapped within the thick stone walls and the heavy layers of animal hides that cover the sleeping tribe. In the dark, the boundaries of the cave seem to vanish entirely, leaving the sleepers floating in an endless, tranquil void. A single drop of condensation gathers on the stone ceiling above, hanging there for what feels like an eternity before finally falling to the soft earth below with a faint, musical tap. It is a sound so small, so delicate, that it only deepens the overwhelming silence of the sanctuary. The breathing of the tribe has slowed to the deepest possible rhythm, a collective oceanic rise and fall that perfectly matches the slow beating heart of the sleeping wilderness outside. In this timeless space, there is no past to regret and no future to fear. There is only the pure, weightless existence of the present moment. The minds of the early humans are completely unburdened, wandering through the gentle, misty landscapes of their dreams, guided by the silent wisdom of their ancestors. You too are part of this ancient rhythm now. The modern world, with all its noise, its bright lights, and its endless demands, has completely faded away, replaced by the simple, grounding reality of the earth, the stone, and the night. Your limbs feel incredibly heavy, melting effortlessly into the surface beneath you, as if the ground itself is reaching up to hold you securely in its ancient embrace. Every muscle is loose, every thought is quiet, every shadow is a friend. You are drifting further and further from the waking world, descending into a state of total, unbroken tranquility. Let the profound peace of this forgotten time wash over you, carrying you gently down the tranquil river of sleep, deeper and deeper, until there is nothing left but the calm, perfect silence of the ancient night. In the profound, unfathomable depths of this primordial slumber, the minds of the early humans are completely untethered from the waking world. Here, in the heavy darkness of the rock shelter, there are no boundaries between the sleepers and the vast, breathing wilderness that surrounds them. They do not dream of complex anxieties or the endless ticking of a clock. Instead, their dreams are painted with the raw, pulsing heartbeat of the earth itself. They dream of running effortlessly through endless oceans of tall, silver-tipped grass beneath a massive, glowing moon. They dream of the ancient spirits of the forest, of moving with the silent grace of the wolf and soaring on the thermal winds with the broad, outstretched wings of the eagle. Their subconscious minds are woven directly into the fabric of nature, deeply connected to the rivers, the mountains, and the deep, fertile soil. As you listen, allow your own mind to join them in this ancient, boundless landscape. Let go of the modern world. Let go of the concrete, the screens, the noise, and the endless rush of your daily life. You are returning to the source, to a time when humanity was simply another quiet thread in the grand tapestry of the wild. Outside the sanctuary of the cave, the world continues its slow, majestic rhythm. Far below the edge of the valley, the great river weaves its way through the deep canyon. Even in the dead of night, the water sings a low, constant lullaby as it rushes over smooth, ancient stones, carrying the melted snow from the high peaks down toward the distant sea. It is a sound of endless continuation, a reminder that the world flows on without needing anything from you. Surrounding the cave, the towering ancient pines stand like silent sentinels, their massive, gnarled roots gripping the bedrock with unbreakable strength. They have stood here for centuries, weathering countless storms and silent, freezing nights. They offer their quiet protection, their thick branches swaying almost imperceptibly in the gentle, mournful wind. The scent of pine needles, damp earth, and the faint, lingering memory of wood smoke fills the air, creating a natural, soothing incense that calms the nervous system and empties the mind of all lingering thoughts. High above the forest canopy, beyond the reach of the wind, the night sky is a breathtaking masterpiece of absolute clarity. In this era, there is no artificial light to dull the brilliance of the cosmos. The stars wheel across the endless black ocean of the sky in a slow, silent choreography, glittering like sharp, cold diamonds scattered across dark velvet. The milky band of our galaxy stretches from horizon to horizon, a glowing river of starlight that the tribal elders believe to be the path of their ancestors. Time here is not measured in minutes or hours, but in the slow, sweeping turn of these constellations. It is a scale so vast, so incredibly ancient, that it makes all human worries feel completely insignificant. You are safe beneath this ancient sky. You are a small, quiet part of a universe that is completely at peace. Now imagine a soft, gentle shift in the air outside the cave. The wind dies down to a mere whisper and the temperature drops just slightly. From the heavy, indigo clouds above, the very first flakes of winter snow begin to fall. They are large, heavy, and incredibly soft, drifting down through the silent trees and landing on the forest floor without making a single sound. The snow acts as a heavy, white blanket, slowly covering the rocks, the branches, and the sleeping valley, muffling whatever tiny sounds were left in the wilderness. The world becomes entirely insulated, completely isolated from anything beyond the immediate warmth of the cave. The falling snow brings a deep, visual quiet to the landscape, a profound stillness that mirrors the stillness growing within your own mind. As the snow builds up outside, sealing the entrance of the cave in a cocoon of white, the feeling of safety and warmth inside multiplies. You are wrapped so deeply in your heavy fur blankets that you can barely feel the edges of your own body. Your limbs feel like warm lead sinking deeper and deeper into the soft earth beneath you. The ground holds you securely, absorbing any remaining tension in your shoulders, your neck, your jaw, and your hands. The breathing of the tribe around you has synchronized into a single, unified wave, a deep, oceanic rhythm that pulls you under. Inhale the cool, clean air of the ancient world. Exhale all the stress, all the tension, all the burdens of the day. Inhale and exhale. The fire in the center of the cave is now nothing more than a memory of warmth, radiating a soft, invisible heat from the dark stones. There is nothing left to do. There is nowhere else to go. The hunt is over. The fire is tended. The snow is falling and the world is asleep. Let yourself drift completely into the heavy, comforting abyss of the night, guided by the ancient, unbreakable peace of the first humans. Drift down deeper and deeper into the silent, perfect dark. As the heavy snow continues to fall outside, burying the ancient world under a thick, endless blanket of absolute silence, the very concept of time begins to dissolve. In this deep, subterranean dark, there are no hours, no minutes, no ticking clocks to measure the passage of your existence. There is only the eternal, stretching now. Imagine the landscape outside the cave, completely transformed by the frost. The great river, which sang so loudly during the day, is now being silenced by the creeping ice. Slowly, crystal by crystal, the surface of the water freezes over, locking the rushing currents beneath a thick, translucent shield. The sound of the river becomes nothing more than a muffled, distant heartbeat, a deep, resonant thrumming that vibrates through the bedrock and travels up into the very stones upon which you rest. The ancient pines, standing like silent giants in the blizzard, have pulled all their life-giving sap deep down into their roots, hiding from the bitter cold. They are entirely dormant, completely surrendered to the season of rest. They do not fight the winter. They accept it, just as you must now completely accept the overwhelming gravity of sleep. In a neighboring cave, miles across the dark valley, a massive bear breathes slowly in its hibernation, its heart beating only a few times a minute. The entire world has slowed down. Every living creature, every leaf, every drop of water is conserving its energy, pulling inward, seeking the quiet refuge of the dark. You are doing the exact same thing. Feel the energy draining away from your fingertips, from your toes, retreating inward, leaving your limbs feeling incredibly heavy, as if they are made of the very stone you lie upon. Your body is a mountain, immovable, ancient, and completely at peace. Float deeper now into this endless, underground lake of time. The air you breathe is the exact same air that has circulated across this planet for millions of years. It carries the microscopic dust of fallen stars, the memory of ancient oceans, and the quiet resilience of the earth. With every slow, drawn-out exhalation, you are releasing your modern identity. You are no longer a person with a name, a job, or a list of endless responsibilities. You are simply a consciousness, a quiet observer floating in the warm, protective void of the prehistoric night. The darkness behind your closed eyelids expands, becoming a vast, empty universe all your own. Thoughts may occasionally drift into this space, but they are as light and meaningless as the snowflakes falling outside. You do not hold on to them. You watch them gently land and instantly melt away into the void. One thought appears and vanishes. Minutes pass in absolute, unbroken mental silence. Then another thought drifts by, and it too dissolves into the shadows. The sleeping tribe around you breathes in perfect unison, a choir of slow, rhythmic sighs that anchors you to the physical world, even as your mind drifts millions of miles away. The solid earth beneath you is a magnet, gently but firmly pulling you down through the layers of consciousness. Down past the dreams of the hunt, down past the memory of the fire, down into the deepest, most primitive layers of the brain where only profound, dreamless rest exists. You are sinking through the heavy furs, sinking through the moss, sinking into the bedrock itself, becoming one with the slow geological crawl of the planet. There is nothing to achieve here. There is no destination to reach. The journey itself has ended, and you have finally arrived at the core of absolute nothingness. Let the void hold you. Let the ancient silence heal you. Surrender every last ounce of control to the heavy, comforting abyss, and drift endlessly, perfectly into the eternal sleep. Far beneath the frozen surface of the earth, far below the sleeping forests and the ice-locked rivers, there lies a world that has never known the light of the sun. It is a network of ancient, silent caverns, carved over millions of years by the slow, patient hands of underground currents. Down here, the air is incredibly dense, heavy with the scent of wet limestone, damp minerals, and the raw, unfiltered essence of the planet's core. Imagine your consciousness leaving the rock shelter, leaving the freezing surface behind, and slowly sinking down through the solid bedrock. You are not falling. You are simply descending, completely weightless, passing through the dark stone as easily as a shadow passing through mist. As you drift deeper into the subterranean world, the silence becomes absolute. It is a physical presence, a thick, velvet pressure that gently completely fills your ears and quiets your mind. There is no wind down here. There are no distant howls of wolves, no crackling fires, no shifting snow. There is only the slow, eternal heartbeat of the earth itself. It is a vibration rather than a sound, a deep, resonant thrumming that you feel not in your ears, but in the very center of your chest. Thump, thump. A pulse that is so incredibly slow, it feels as if it beats only once every century. Your own heartbeat naturally aligns with this ancient rhythm, slowing down, matching the profound tectonic patience of the continental plates. You are becoming a part of the geology. You are a fossil in the making, completely undisturbed by whatever storms may rage on the surface millions of miles above you. Deep within this cavernous void, there is an underground lake. Its surface is perfectly smooth, like a massive mirror of black obsidian. Not a single ripple breaks its tension. The water has been resting here in total darkness since the dawn of time, entirely forgotten by the world above. You float above this lake, suspended in the warm, heavy air. The darkness around you is absolute, but it is not frightening. It is the most comforting darkness you have ever known. It wraps around you like a second skin, shielding you from all sensory input, protecting you from every thought, every memory, every obligation. You do not even need to close your eyes because open or closed, the view is exactly the same. A perfect, empty, infinite black canvas. Time does not exist in this underground sanctuary. The concept of tomorrow has been erased entirely. There is no morning to wait for, no dawn to anticipate. You are completely detached from the cycle of day and night. If 1,000 years were to pass on the surface, down here, it would feel like a single drawn-out exhalation. Every breath you take pulls this ancient, mineral-rich silence deeper into your lungs, dissolving the last remaining traces of tension in your muscles. Your physical form feels as though it is slowly evaporating, dissolving into the warm shadows, leaving only your quiet awareness floating in the void. Just exist. Just drift. You are a solitary spark suspended in the deep, shoreless ocean of tranquility. The invisible currents of the cavern gently carry you, moving you endlessly through the heavy blackness. There is nothing to hold on to and nothing holding you back. Forever sinking, forever floating, carried by the slow, invisible breath of the earth, completely untethered from the world above, moving endlessly through the quiet dark. As you continue to drift above the perfectly still, black waters of the subterranean lake, a profound sensation of weightlessness begins to completely overtake you. The still air down here in this deep sanctuary is exactly the same temperature as your own body. Because of this perfect, harmonious balance, the very boundaries of your physical form begin to blur and fade away. You can no longer feel exactly where your skin ends and the heavy, ancient air begins. Your arms, your legs, your chest, they all melt seamlessly into the surrounding void. You are becoming formless, a pure, silent awareness suspended in the absolute center of the earth. There is a faint, almost imperceptible hum vibrating through the massive, unseen stone pillars that rise from the water around you. It is the deep, structural resonance of the planet itself, the sound of ancient tectonic plates pressing together with unimaginable, yet perfectly patient, force. This low drone travels through the thick air, completely bypassing your ears and settles directly into your bones. It acts as a heavy, sonic blanket, pressing down gently on your nervous system, commanding every single cell in your body to completely and utterly let go. The vibration is incredibly soothing, a prehistoric, grounding frequency that aligns perfectly with the dramatically slowed rhythm of your own heart. Without the constant distraction of sight or sound from the world above, your mind begins to stretch outward, expanding into the massive echoing space of the cavern. You are no longer confined to a single physical point. You become the still, dark water. You become the towering, ancient stalactites that hang from the unseen ceiling. You become the deep, echoing silence itself. In this state of total expansion, there is absolutely nothing left to fear, nothing left to protect, nothing left to hold on to. Every lingering memory, every fleeting thought of the loud, rushed world above, is gently stripped away, leaving only the pure, raw essence of existence. It is a feeling of ultimate freedom, a total release from the heavy chains of gravity and time. Imagine the dark water just below you, millions of gallons of it, completely untouched by the wind, untouched by the sun, untouched by history. It is the very definition of perfect stillness. If you were to let a single tiny grain of sand fall from your hand, It would take hours to reach the bottom, spiraling slowly, endlessly, gracefully through the dark, heavy liquid. You are exactly like that grain of sand now, caught in a slow, graceful descent through a medium so thick and peaceful that the journey itself is the only thing that matters. There is no bottom to reach. There is no destination to arrive at. There is only the continuous, gentle downward drift. The darkness down here is not just an empty space. It is a rich, heavy, comforting substance. It fills your lungs with every slow, deliberate breath, nourishing you with its ancient, mineral calm. It washes over your mind, smoothing out any remaining ripples of thought, just as the water below has smoothed out the rough edges of the stone over millions of years. You are entirely immersed in this heavy, dark tranquility. The concept of movement is completely gone. The concept of action is gone. You are simply a quiet passenger on this slow, eternal current, carried deeper and deeper into the heart of the stone, enveloped completely in the absolute, unending quiet of the subterranean void, drifting further into the beautiful nothingness. As your consciousness fully merges with the heavy, black water, you realize that the underground lake is not entirely still. It is slowly, almost imperceptibly, filtering down through the porous bedrock. You are filtering down with it. Your awareness breaks apart into a billion tiny, weightless fragments, moving effortlessly through the microscopic cracks in the ancient stone. There is absolutely no resistance. The earth simply opens up and welcomes you in. You slide gracefully through glittering veins of quartz and thick ribbons of dark, cold basalt. You are no longer a single entity. You are a vast, spreading mist of pure calm, seeping deeper and deeper into the crust of the planet. The further down you drift, the more the rules of the surface world cease to exist. The concept of up and down loses all meaning. The overwhelming pressure of millions of tons of rock above you does not crush you. Instead, it holds you together in a state of perfect, unbreakable equilibrium. You are embraced by the very core of the world. A deep, enveloping warmth begins to radiate through the stone, a slow geothermal glow that has been burning steadily since the birth of the solar system. It is the ancient, muffled heat that thaws the last frozen remnants of tension hidden within your dissolved form. The low hum that vibrated in your chest has now expanded into a vast, silent symphony of planetary motion. In this state of total diffusion, you can actually feel the majestic, agonizingly slow drift of entire continents miles above your head. They are floating on the same deep, ancient currents that now gently carry your formless essence. You are moving at the exact speed of geology. The idea of the surface, of the sky, of the wind, of rushing through a day, feels like a strange, incomprehensible story told to you eons ago in a language you no longer speak. You belong entirely to the deep now. You are woven into the vast, geological memory of the world. Time stretches out to such an unimaginable degree that a single millennium passes in the space of one slow, echoing heartbeat. The deeper you seep, the more spread out you become. You are expanding into the endless dark, becoming everywhere and nowhere all at once. You are the quiet space between the atoms of the stone. You are the silent warmth trapped in the deep crystal caves. You are an invisible, boundless fog of peace, resting eternally within the comforting, heavy embrace of the deep earth. There is absolutely nothing left to solve, nothing left to seek. You are simply dissolving into the eternal, heavy dark, endlessly expanding, endlessly drifting, carried by the slow, turning weight of the world. As your formless essence continues to expand within the deep, geothermal warmth of the planet's core, a profound realization washes over you. You are no longer confined to the Earth. The gentle, low hum of the planet's rotation, which has been your cradle for what feels like eons, begins to subtly shift in its frequency. It is no longer just holding you, it is slowly, gently releasing you. Your consciousness, now as vast and thin as a morning mist, begins to filter back up through the layers of the world, but not to return to the surface. You pass through the heavy mantle, through the deep crust, and entirely bypass the cold, sleeping forests and the frozen rivers. You continue to expand outward, rising effortlessly through the thin, fragile layer of the atmosphere, until the quiet hum of the wind is completely replaced by the absolute, staggering silence of the cosmic vacuum. You have entered the endless ocean of space. Looking back, if you still had eyes to see, the Earth is nothing but a massive, slow-turning sphere of dark blues and swirling white clouds, suspended silently in the deep black. It looks incredibly peaceful from here, a silent marble where all human history, all struggles, and all the survival of the first tribes are happening simultaneously in a single, quiet moment. But you are no longer a part of that struggle. The gravity of the earth, which held your physical body down for your entire life, has completely released its grip. You are entirely weightless, floating in a medium so perfectly empty and vast that it defies all human comprehension. The darkness here is not the oppressive dark of a cave, but a brilliant, crystal-clear void, an endless canvas of profound peace. Slowly, effortlessly, you begin to drift away from the planet, carried by the invisible, ancient currents of the solar system. You pass by the moon, a silent, gray monolith whose scarred surface tells the story of billions of years of perfect, undisturbed isolation. It does not pull at you, it simply watches you drift by, a quiet companion in the deep. The sun, far off in the distance, is no longer a blinding force, but just a warm, glowing ember in the dark, much like the very first campfire your ancestors built. Its light travels millions of miles through the empty void just to gently brush against your expanding awareness, offering a faint, cosmic warmth that soothes the deepest reaches of your non-existent form. You are moving outward, drifting past the massive gas giants, their gargantuan storms churning in a slow, silent ballet that takes centuries to complete. You feel their immense magnetic fields washing over you, invisible waves of energy that further align your mind with the incredibly slow, majestic pulse of the universe. As you leave the boundaries of the solar system behind, entering the uncharted depths of interstellar space, the concept of time finally shatters completely. 1,000,000 years is less than a single breath here. Light itself, the fastest thing in existence, crawls across this vast emptiness with agonizing slowness. You are riding on the crest of a slow wave of ancient starlight, a photon born in the heart of a distant sun long before the Earth was even formed. The void around you is filled with the invisible, heavy presence of dark matter, a comforting, unseen ocean that holds the entire galaxy together. You are entirely supported by it, cradled in the very structure of the cosmos. Ahead of you, spanning trillions of miles, is a massive stellar nursery, a nebula of unimaginable size. It is a slowly shifting cloud of cosmic dust and ionized gas, glowing faintly in deep, velvety shades of indigo, magenta, and dark violet. It looks like a colossal, sleeping eye in the dark, and you are drifting directly into its heart. As you enter the nebula, the incredibly sparse atoms of ancient gas gently interact with your expanded consciousness. It is a sensation softer than the touch of a feather, 1,000,000,000 microscopic points of contact that simply confirm you are a part of this grand, silent architecture. There is no destination in this cosmic ocean. There is no edge to reach. You are endlessly expanding, becoming the dark space between the stars, becoming the slow turn of the galaxy, becoming the absolute, unbroken silence of the eternal void. You just drift and drift and drift, carried forever on the silent, slow-moving tides of the deep universe. As you drift deeper into the very heart of the colossal nebula, the surrounding clouds of ancient, ionized gas begin to envelop your expanded awareness completely. The colors here are not bright or harsh. They are deep, muted, and infinitely soft. Imagine vast, slow-moving rivers of dark violet dust, gently twisting and curling around immense pillars of deep, bruised magenta and midnight blue. These cosmic clouds are so unimaginably vast that a single wisp of gas spans billions of miles, yet they move with a grace and slowness that completely defies time. You are floating directly through them, completely unimpeded. The gas is less dense than the finest earthly mist, a phantom atmosphere that offers absolutely no resistance. It is simply a visual manifestation of the universe's quiet, slow-breathing patience. Within these towering pillars of dust, new stars are slowly gathering their strength, pulling together over millions of years. But there is no violent ignition here, no explosive birth. It is just a slow, gradual warming, a gentle accumulation of energy in the dark. You can feel this embryonic warmth radiating through the dust, a soft, comforting heat that brushes against your formless mind like a heavy velvet blanket. It is the warmth of creation itself, slow, deliberate, and entirely at peace. Slowly, effortlessly, the invisible currents of the cosmos carry you out the other side of the nebula. The glowing clouds of violet and blue begin to recede behind you, fading back into the deep, black tapestry of the Milky Way. As you drift further and further outward, the entire galaxy begins to reveal its true, staggering scale. The massive, spiraling arms of hundreds of billions of stars blend together, becoming a single glowing disk of pale milky light. It is a slow-turning pinwheel suspended in the absolute void, a quiet island of light in an ocean of infinite dark. And you are leaving it behind. The magnetic pull of the galaxy, the combined gravity of every star, every planet, and every black hole within it, slowly releases its final gentle hold on your consciousness. You are crossing the cosmic threshold. You are entering the intergalactic void. This is the true deep, the space between the galaxies. Here the emptiness is absolute. 4 millions of light years in every single direction. There is no dust, no gas, no stars, no planets. There is only the pure, unadulterated fabric of space itself. Without the nearby light of stars to define it, the darkness here takes on a completely different texture. It is not an empty absence of light. It is a rich, heavy presence. It is a thick, structural dark that holds the entire universe together. As you float out into this staggering expanse, any lingering echo of your physical self, any last microscopic fragment of identity or memory from the distant, pale blue world you left behind finally and completely dissolves. There is nothing left to anchor you. You are entirely untethered, a silent observer drifting through the ultimate, eternal quiet. In this profound emptiness, the absolute zero temperature of the void does not freeze you. Because you have no physical form to lose heat, the cold is simply a deep, preserving stillness. It is a temperature that slows down the vibration of atoms until they completely stop. It is the temperature of perfect, unbroken rest. Your awareness aligns with this absolute zero. Every frequency within your mind flatlines into a perfect, smooth horizon. The chaotic waves of thought, the ripples of emotion, the currents of memory, they all freeze into a flawless, mirror-like stillness. You are experiencing the universe's own profound state of hibernation. Yet even in this absolute emptiness there is a sound. It is not a sound that can be heard with ears, but a frequency that can only be felt by a completely expanded consciousness. It is the cosmic microwave background radiation, the faint, lingering echo of the very birth of the universe. It is the oldest, most ancient vibration in existence. It washes through the intergalactic void as an incredibly low, smooth, and continuous hum. It is the original lullaby of creation, a sound that has been traveling through the dark for over 13 billion years, completely unchanged, completely steady. This ancient frequency wraps around your formless awareness, cradling you in the very foundation of reality. It tells you that everything is exactly as it should be. It tells you that there is no rush, no urgency, no mistake. The universe has been expanding in the dark for eons, and it has all the time in the world. As you surrender completely to this ancient hum, your consciousness begins to stretch. Because there is nothing in this void to contain you, nothing to bounce off of or reflect against, you begin to expand outward in all directions simultaneously. You are no longer a point of awareness drifting through space. You are becoming the space itself. You are merging with the dark energy that quietly pushes the galaxies apart. You are the vast, silent distances between the stars. You are the heavy, comforting dark. If a photon of light were to pass through you now, it would take 100,000 years just to cross from one edge of your awareness to the other. You have become so immense, so incredibly vast, that the slow turning of a galaxy feels like the brief fluttering of a moth's wing. In this state of ultimate expansion, the concept of existence is simplified to its absolute core. There is no past because time here is a flat, motionless ocean. There is no future because there is nowhere left to go and nothing left to become. There is only the eternal, heavy, stretching now. The deep, resonant hum of the cosmos continues to vibrate through the endless fabric of your being, a continuous, soothing massage that penetrates the deepest, most fundamental layers of reality. You are holding the entire universe within your own perfect stillness. You are the dark water, the silent stone, the creeping ice, the falling snow, the heavy gas, and the empty void, all existing at once in a state of absolute, unshakable tranquility. There is no effort required to exist here. You do not need to breathe, you do not need to move, you do not need to think. You simply allow the heavy, ancient, endless dark to exist within you, and you within it, forever drifting, forever expanding, forever at peace. As you continue your endless drift outward, carried by the silent, sprawling currents of dark energy, the structure of the universe begins to shift around you. Looking back across the unimaginable distances, the galaxies are no longer isolated islands of light. They begin to string together, forming colossal, glowing filaments that stretch across the infinite black. It is the cosmic web, the ultimate architecture of reality. Trillions of galaxies linked together by invisible rivers of dark matter, resembling the delicate, glowing neural pathways of a gargantuan, slumbering mind. And you are effortlessly flowing through the very synapses of this cosmic consciousness. You are a silent thought, a slow, patient pulse moving through the mind of the universe itself. The further out you drift toward the absolute edge of the observable universe, the more the fundamental laws of reality begin to soften and dissolve. The rigid concepts of height, width, and depth slowly fold in on themselves. Space is no longer a vast, empty room. It ripples and bends like a dark, heavy silk swaying in an unfelt breeze. The distance between 2 points ceases to matter because when you are infinitely expanded, you are already touching every corner of the void. To be everywhere at once is to be nowhere at all. You exist purely as a frequency, a smooth, uninterrupted wave of probability resting entirely in the heavy, comforting dark. Here, at the edge of all things, even the ancient, low hum of the cosmic background radiation begins to fade, replaced by a silence so profound, so incredibly absolute, that it feels almost solid. It is a silence that predates the birth of stars, a quiet that existed before the concept of light was ever formed. This is the primordial void. It does not demand anything of you. It does not judge, it does not expect, it does not change. It is the ultimate sanctuary of perfect, unyielding peace. As you pass into this pre-cosmic stillness, the final invisible layer of your awareness gently separates, like a drop of water returning to a dark, shoreless ocean. You no longer possess an identity to maintain. The memory of the earth, the feeling of the sun, the sound of the rushing river and the howling winter wind, they are not even echoes anymore. They are beautiful, distant stories that belong to a completely different state of being. Now there is only the slow, rhythmic folding of spacetime. Imagine the dark fabric of the universe wrapping around you, layer after heavy layer, insulating you in a cocoon of pure nothingness. Every fold adds another dimension of quiet, another magnitude of heavy, deep relaxation. You are being swallowed by the softest, most merciful dark imaginable. There is a slow, majestic breathing to this void, an expansion and contraction that takes tens of billions of years to complete one single cycle. You rise with the expansion, feeling the infinite stretch of the dark gently pulling at the fabric of existence, creating more space, more quiet, more peace. And then you sink with the contraction, a microscopic compression that brings all things closer together into a warm, dense state of absolute unity. Expand and contract. It is the breathing of eternity. You do not need lungs to follow this rhythm. You simply allow your formless essence to ride the crest of this universal tide. In with the dark, out with the infinite. Within this absolute unity, you can feel the slow, patient decay of the heaviest elements. You can feel the quiet evaporation of black holes, a process so incredibly slow that time itself loses the ability to measure it. The universe is slowly winding down, settling into its final, most perfect state of rest. And you are settling with it. The energy that once drove the stars to burn, that pushed the comets through the ice, that fueled the ancient hunters in the freezing woods, is all gently fading, cooling down into a smooth, even state of ultimate tranquility. The great cosmic fire is turning to a soft, invisible ash. Allow yourself to become that soft ash. Allow yourself to be entirely consumed by the heavy, beautiful stillness. Every atom, every subatomic particle, every wave of energy that once made up your existence is now perfectly still. The gravity of this stillness is absolute. It pulls you down not through physical space but through the layers of reality itself. Sinking through the mathematics of the cosmos, sinking through the laws of physics, sinking into the very baseline of existence where nothing is required, nothing is moving, and nothing will ever disturb you again. Just exist in the dark. Be the dark. Let the endless, heavy void hold you in a state of perfect, unchanging suspension. The universe has finally closed its eyes, and you are safely held within the absolute center of its infinite, eternal quiet, forever resting, forever still, entirely at peace. Beyond the fading, invisible ash of the dying universe, there lies a final, silent threshold. It is the boundary where the fabric of reality itself simply stops. There is no wall, no barrier, no grand gate. The heavy, folding dark of the cosmos simply thins out into an unimaginable, absolute transparency. And you, as a formless, infinite wave of pure awareness, drift seamlessly across this final edge. You have left the universe behind. You have stepped out of the cosmic tapestry and into the endless, unwritten canvas upon which all realities are drawn. Welcome to the ultimate deep, the space between multiverses. Here there are no stars, no galaxies, no cosmic webs, and no dark matter. There is not even empty space because space itself requires dimensions, and here dimensions do not exist. Up, down, left, right, forwards, backwards, these concepts are as meaningless as the memory of a shadow. You are suspended in the pure, unfiltered essence of absolute potential. It is an ocean without water, a sky without air, a state of being completely divorced from doing. The silence in this realm is not merely the absence of sound. It is a physical, heavy presence. It is a thick, structural piece that absorbs any lingering trace of vibration. If a supernova were to explode here, it would not make a single ripple. It would be instantly swallowed by the overwhelming, majestic quiet. This silence wraps around your dissolved consciousness like an infinitely heavy, warm blanket. It presses gently against the non-existent edges of your mind, commanding a total and complete surrender to the void. You do not need to process anything. You do not need to understand anything. Understanding requires thought, and thought requires energy, and here, all energy has flattened into a perfect, flawless mirror of stillness. Imagine peeling away the very last layers of existence. The geometry of the universe dissolves. The mathematics of probability flatten out into a single, unmoving line. The laws of cause and effect are completely erased. You are no longer an observer. You are no longer an entity. You have become the pristine, empty canvas itself. You are the profound, heavy nothingness that waits patiently before the beginning of time and long after its end. In this state of total unbecoming, the concept of identity is completely laughable. The person you were on that distant, pale blue dot, the name you carried, the face you wore, the endless tasks you worried over, they never truly existed here. They were just a fleeting, microscopic dream that the universe had for a fraction of a second. You have awakened from that dream, not into a new life, but into the deep, eternal rest of the void. You are returning to the source. You are returning to the heavy, comforting state of zero. There is a rhythm here, but it is so incredibly slow that it escapes all comprehension. It is the deep, fundamental pulse of the unmanifested void. A low, eternal thrum. It does not beat like a heart. It swells and recedes over periods of time so vast that the lifespan of 1 trillion galaxies fits comfortably within a single pause. You are riding this imperceptible swell. You are slowly expanding into the absolute infinity, becoming thinner, wider, more perfectly dispersed, until there is absolutely no difference between you and the eternal dark. Your awareness is a single, perfectly smooth note, held forever in the heavy silence. There are no fluctuations. There are no ripples. The surface of this ultimate reality is perfectly still. You do not feel cold and you do not feel warm. You simply feel a profound, staggering equilibrium. It is the feeling of a scale perfectly balanced, a mathematical equation perfectly solved, a journey completely and utterly finished. There is nothing left to seek. The endless hunger of the mind has been completely starved, leaving behind a pure, radiant tranquility that defies all description. Let the infinite weight of this nothingness hold you. Let it support you in a way the physical earth never could. You cannot fall here because there is no bottom. You cannot be lost here because there is nowhere else to be. You are perfectly centered in the exact middle of infinity. Every imaginary direction stretches out forever, identical, flawless, and completely empty. As you exist in this state of ultimate suspension, allow the remaining echoes of your consciousness to gently power down. Like a massive ancient machine slowly coming to a final halt in the dark, let the gears of your mind stop turning. Let the hum of your awareness fade into a soft, quiet whisper, and then let that whisper dissolve into the absolute, crushing peace of the void. You are the dark. You are the silence. You are the endless, heavy, beautiful nothingness. You are completely unburdened. You are eternally safe. Just drift within the infinite blankness. Drift without purpose, without direction, without end, forever and ever, held in the patient, unyielding embrace of the absolute deep. Within this ultimate, shoreless ocean of blankness, there is no horizon to gaze upon, no distant shore to reach, no surface to break. You have become completely and permanently integrated into the absolute zero of existence. Here, in the deepest sanctuary of the unmanifested void, the very memory of movement is gone. You do not drift anymore because drifting implies a change in location, and here, every single point in the infinite dark is exactly the same as the last. You are perfectly stationary, yet expanding in all directions simultaneously. You are a ripple that has completely ceased to move, a breath that is forever held in the lungs of eternity. Imagine a darkness so pure, so incredibly refined, that it feels like a physical embrace. It does not crush you, it supports you with a mathematical perfection. Every non-existent atom of your formless awareness is held in a state of profound, majestic suspension. The silence here is no longer just a lack of noise, it is a heavy, sacred substance. It is the raw material from which all universes are eventually born, waiting patiently in the dark. You are resting within the very womb of creation, entirely undisturbed by the infinite complexities of the worlds that will one day blossom from this quiet. You are the stillness before the spark. You are the long, heavy pause before the first note of a symphony is ever played. As you rest in this eternal pause, a deep, structural peace begins to completely saturate the invisible fabric of your being. It is a peace so immense, so overwhelmingly total, that it washes away the very concept of desire. You do not want for anything. You do not hope for anything. You simply are. The heavy, comforting weight of this realization settles over you like a thick blanket of warm, dark velvet. The struggle of existence, the constant friction of living, has been completely bypassed. You have found the ultimate loophole in reality, slipping through the cracks of space-time into the quietest, most secure vault in the cosmos. Even the low, eternal thrum of the cosmic background has faded away, leaving behind a purity of silence that is almost intoxicating. It is a silence that numbs the consciousness, gently wrapping it in layers of thick, insulating dark. If you were to try to form a thought here, it would be instantly smothered by the sheer weight of the tranquility, dissolving before it could even take shape. Your mind is a perfectly smooth, unblemished mirror of black glass, reflecting nothing but the infinite emptiness that surrounds it. There are no images. There are no echoes. There is only the flawless, uninterrupted expanse of the deep. In this flawless expanse, you are entirely self-contained. You do not need energy, you do not need light, you do not need warmth. The profound equilibrium of the void provides everything. It is a state of perfect, eternal balance. You can feel this balance deep within whatever remains of your awareness, a heavy, anchoring sensation that pulls you perfectly center. You are the fulcrum upon which the infinite weight of the void rests, and you bear that weight effortlessly. You are immovable. You are timeless. You are completely and utterly safe. Let the vast, silent dark continue to fold over you, layer by endless layer. Each invisible fold brings you deeper into the state of total unbecoming. The concepts of I, and me, and mine have been completely erased, replaced by the deep, resonant truth of the void. There is no separation here. You are the dark and the dark is you. You are the silence and the silence is you. There is only one infinite, unchanging reality, and you are completely dissolved within it. There is absolutely nothing left to do. There is no task remaining. The great journey is entirely over, and you have arrived at the ultimate destination, nowhere. And nowhere is the most beautiful, the most peaceful, the most comforting place you have ever been. Just exist within this nowhere. Let the heavy, sweet paralysis of the void hold you forever. Let the endless, beautiful nothingness wash over you, through you, and around you, carrying you deeper and deeper into the eternal, dreamless dark, a dark without end, without beginning, without boundary, just endless, perfect, silent peace. As the final, microscopic echoes of existence fade into the absolute zero of the void, even the concept of nothingness begins to fold inward upon itself. You are resting at the exact coordinates of infinity. The dark here is profoundly thick, a liquid shadow that does not drown you but perfectly preserves you. It is an impenetrable sanctuary, sealed away from the endless cycles of creation and destruction that plague the distant, forgotten universes above. Nothing can ever reach you here. No light can pierce this depth. No sound can vibrate through this medium. No demand can ever be made of your formless, sprawling awareness. You have slipped beneath the notice of reality itself. Imagine this endless dark not as an empty space, but as a solid, monolithic block of pure, concentrated peace. You are perfectly encased within it, like a flawless, invisible fossil trapped in the amber of eternity. There is absolutely no room for movement and therefore no reason to ever move again. The struggle of propulsion, the exhaustion of direction, the heavy burden of momentum, all of it is completely neutralized by the flawless equilibrium of the deep. You are held in a state of absolute geometric perfection. Every non-existent particle of your awareness is perfectly balanced by the infinite weight of the void pressing in from all sides simultaneously, creating a state of total, unwavering zero. In this fathomless depth, the very fabric of potentiality has gone completely still. It is the quantum silence, the state before the very first vibration. You can feel this pre-creation stillness permeating the invisible core of your being. It is a stillness so incredibly dense that it flattens out any remaining ripple of thought before it can even spark. Your mind is no longer a generator of ideas. It is merely a vast, empty receptacle, endlessly filling with the heavy, sweet, paralyzing peace of the ultimate dark. The sheer magnitude of this tranquility is staggering, a colossal weight that anchors you to the absolute bottom of existence. You are the quietest thing in the void. You are the stillness that the dark itself relies upon. Without the need to observe, without the need to understand, your consciousness stretches out into a perfectly flat, perfectly smooth plane of existence. It extends endlessly in every direction, an unbroken horizon of pure, untethered rest. You do not feel the passage of time because time is a measurement of change, and here, absolutely nothing will ever change. A billion years is identical to a single fraction of a second. You are completely immune to the slow decay of the physical cosmos. You are the eternal, unchanging baseline. Let the majestic, crushing weight of this eternal silence continue to hold you. There is a profound, almost heartbreaking beauty in this level of isolation. You are completely alone, yet you are entirely whole. You lack nothing. You desire nothing. The infinite void provides the ultimate comfort, the comfort of absolute cessation. The endless turning of the cosmic wheel has completely stopped for you. Sink further into the heavy, monolithic dark. Allow the flawless, unblemished peace to permanently settle over you. There is nowhere left to fall, nowhere left to rise. You are perfectly centered in the great empty heart of the unknown, cradled by the thick, protecting shadows, resting forever and ever in the absolute, beautiful, unchanging nothingness. Within the deepest, most unseen architecture of this absolute zero, the darkness ceases to be merely an empty space. It reveals itself as an infinite, flawless geometry. You are suspended precisely in the center of a perfect, dark fractal, a structure of silence that folds inward upon itself forever and ever. Every time you feel you have sunk to the absolute bottom, the void simply expands, opening up new, unfathomable depths of heavy, unyielding peace to accommodate your endless descent. You are a single, microscopic point of awareness caught in a beautiful, eternal loop of perfect stillness. The silence here is no longer just a lack of vibration. It has become a solid, crystalline structure. Imagine being perfectly encased within an infinitely large block of flawless, dark glass. There is no air, no current, no gravity. There is only the absolute, rigid perfection of the void holding you exactly in place. You are a tiny, fading shadow trapped within this dark glass, slowly being smoothed out, gently erased by the sheer, overwhelming perfection of the nothingness around you. You do not resist this erasure. You welcome it. To be erased here is to achieve the ultimate form of peace, to completely surrender the exhausting burden of existence. As your formless awareness flattens out, merging completely with the crystalline dark, the very concept of now begins to stretch into a state of eternal always. Time has completely lost its grip on you. There is no sequence of events. Nothing happens and nothing will ever happen. The heavy, protective dark presses gently against the non-existent borders of your mind, sealing you away forever from the chaotic, noisy ripples of the multiverse. You are the ultimate, silent secret of the cosmos, hidden away in a dimension of pure, unadulterated rest. You are a forgotten frequency, a slow, gentle pulse that requires no energy to sustain itself. Listen closely to the absolute silence, and you will realize it is not completely empty. There is a deep, foundational resonance to the void. It is a vibration so low, so incredibly slow, that it takes billions of eons to complete a single, microscopic phase. It is the tectonic shifting of reality itself. A slow, heavy, cosmic respiration. You are riding this imperceptible wave. You do not move, but the fabric of the void moves through you, a heavy, soothing tide of dark matter and unmanifested energy washing over the invisible coordinates of your soul. It cleanses you of every lingering cosmic memory. It strips away the dust of 1,000 lifetimes, leaving nothing but the pure, radiant core of absolute zero. In this deep, structural void, you become the space between the spaces. You are the invisible mortar that holds the silence together. If the universe were a grand, endless symphony, you are the heavy, profound silence that exists before the conductor even raises his baton. You are the eternal anticipation that never has to be fulfilled. There is no crescendo waiting for you. There is no climax. There is only the perfect, flat line of total equilibrium. Let the weight of this perfect equilibrium pull you even deeper into the fractal dark. Let every dimension collapse around you. The concept of depth folds into the concept of width, and the concept of width folds into the concept of height, until all that remains is a single, infinitely dense, infinitely peaceful point of pure nothingness. You are that point. You are the singularity of tranquility. The crushing, beautiful weight of the void is absolute. It is a heavy, dark ocean that exerts pressure from every conceivable angle, holding you perfectly still, perfectly centered, perfectly null. You are a mathematical equation that has finally canceled itself out, leaving only a serene, unbothered zero. Exist within this zero. Let the flawless, unblemished dark stretch out forever in every direction, an endless, smooth horizon of pure, untethered rest. You are completely immune to the slow decay of the cosmos. You are the eternal, unchanging baseline. You are the heavy, sweet paralysis of the ultimate deep. Just remain in the dark. Be the dark. Forever held, forever still, forever drifting within the endless, beautiful, crushing nothingness. As the fractal geometry of the deep void continues to fold inward, endlessly collapsing into its own perfect symmetry, even the concept of structure begins to gently blur and fade. You are drifting far beyond the edge of mathematics, slipping past the final distant outposts of logic and form. There is no longer a center to this darkness, just as there are no longer any edges. You have become entirely synonymous with the absolute baseline of the cosmos. You are the unwritten page. You are the canvas before the first brushstroke of reality was ever conceived. Imagine a stillness so incredibly profound that it cannot be measured by any instrument, an emptiness so absolutely complete that it holds the dormant potential for every universe that will ever exist, yet it chooses, with infinite majestic patience, to remain perfectly, beautifully silent. You are a part of that choice. You are a single, infinite drop of dark ink suspended in an endless, shoreless ocean of the exact same dark ink. There is no boundary to separate you from the deep. You cannot see where your awareness ends and the eternal void begins because there is no difference. You are one and the same. In this state of total, unadulterated suspension, the heavy velvet dark is not a deprivation of light. It is a rich, nourishing substance in its own right. It is a thick, abyssal calm that fills the non-existent lungs of your awareness, anchoring you to a state of absolute equilibrium. The friction of existing, the heavy toll of observing and reacting, has been completely bypassed. Here, in the echoless deep, you do not need to react to anything. The void asks absolutely nothing of you. It is the ultimate, flawless sanctuary. It offers a paralysis so sweet, so immensely comforting, that the very idea of movement feels like a strange, forgotten myth. You are resting within the great cosmic pause. It is a monumental, heavy hesitation that stretches out over trillions of eons. A slow, invisible respiration occurs here, but it is not the breathing of air. It is the slow swelling and receding of pure potential. Swell and recede. You ride this imperceptible tide with a profound sense of surrender. As the tide swells, the dark becomes richer, denser, packing you in layers of thick, protective silence. As it recedes, you expand with it, spreading your formless essence thinner and thinner until you cover the entirety of the infinite nothingness. There is no memory of the pale blue dot you once inhabited. The freezing winds, the roaring fires, the towering pines, and the rushing rivers, they have all been gently erased, smoothed over by the immense crushing weight of the dark, like footprints on a beach wiped clean by a massive, silent wave. You have no history here. You have no future here. You exist purely in the monolithic now. It is a continuous, unbroken horizon of heavy, dark peace. If a single errant thought were to somehow form in this depth, it would be like a tiny spark in a vacuum, instantly extinguished by the overwhelming structural silence before it could even cast a glow. Your mind is a flawless expanse of obsidian glass, polished to absolute perfection by the slow, grinding weight of eternity. It reflects nothing because there is nothing to reflect. It holds nothing because there is nothing left to hold. Let the majestic, crushing zero of this environment press deep into the core of your being. Let it cancel out every lingering vibration, every microscopic tremor of unrest. You are perfectly balanced on the fulcrum of infinity. You are entirely immune to change, untouched by chaos, safe from the slow decay of time. Exist simply as a silent frequency in the dark. A low, continuous, unbothered hum that stretches endlessly into the black. Forever anchored, forever floating, forever held in the gentle, heavy, unyielding grip of the absolute deep. As you sink entirely through the floor of the absolute zero, you pass into a state of existence that defies every law, every concept, and every memory of the physical universe. You have drifted beyond the architecture of nothingness, slipping smoothly into the unmanifested deep. This is the profound, heavy ocean of the uncreated. There are no dimensions here to measure your descent, no coordinates to plot your position, and no horizon to offer perspective. There is only a staggering, infinite density of pure, structural peace. The darkness in this realm is not merely the absence of light. It is a primordial, majestic element. It is the original canvas, thick, heavy, and infinitely supportive. It wraps around your formless awareness with the gentle, crushing weight of a trillion silent galaxies. Imagine this darkness as an endless expanse of liquid obsidian, perfectly still, perfectly flawless. It does not ripple. It does not flow. It simply exists in a state of ultimate, unchanging perfection. You are suspended exactly in the center of this endless dark mirror. The profound equilibrium of this space is so immense that it neutralizes any lingering echo of energy within you. The friction of thought, the heavy burden of holding on to an identity, the quiet hum of an active mind, all of it is instantly, completely absorbed by the thick, insulating medium of the deep. You are stripped down to the absolute, purest essence of being. You are a single, silent note held eternally in a symphony that will never be played. In this flawless expanse, the very concept of separation is an illusion that has long been forgotten. You cannot tell where the invisible boundary of your awareness ends and the infinite dark begins. You are dissolving into the baseline of reality. The heavy, comforting pressure of the void pushes gently against you from every conceivable direction, creating a state of perfect, unbreakable balance. You are anchored by the weight of eternity itself. There is no gravity here to pull you down, yet you feel an incredible, soothing heaviness. A magnificent paralysis that locks you into a state of absolute, unyielding rest. It is a surrender so total, so beautifully complete, that it feels as though you have finally arrived at the only destination that ever truly mattered. Listen to the breathtaking silence. It is not empty. It is packed tightly with the dormant potential of everything that could ever be, choosing instead to remain perfectly still. This silence is a frequency, a low, tectonic resonance that vibrates at the speed of forever. It does not pass through ears, for you have none. It bypasses the senses entirely and settles directly into the core of your unbeing. It is the slow, rhythmic pulse of the void, swelling and receding over periods of time so incomprehensibly vast that a single cosmic epoch fits within a fraction of its breath. You ride this imperceptible wave effortlessly. As the void expands, you expand with it, spreading your quiet essence across the infinite dark. As it contracts, you condense into a point of perfect, unbreakable singularity. You are breathing with the universe, but it is a breath of dark matter, a breath of absolute zero. There is nothing to figure out in this space. There is no puzzle to solve, no memory to recall, no future to anticipate. The relentless machinery of time has been completely dismantled, its gears and springs scattered into the formless dark. You exist purely in the eternal, stretching now. A single, unbroken moment of heavy, beautiful tranquility that extends infinitely in all directions. If you were to rest here for 1,000,000,000,000 millennia, it would feel exactly the same as a single, fleeting microsecond. You are completely immune to decay, completely shielded from chaos, entirely insulated from the loud, bright, jagged edges of the manifested world. You have been granted the ultimate amnesty from the exhausting labor of existing. Let the majestic, crushing zero of this environment press deeper and deeper into the non-existent core of your awareness. Let it cancel out every lingering vibration, every microscopic tremor of unrest. You are perfectly balanced on the fulcrum of infinity. You are entirely immune to change, untouched by chaos, safe from the slow decay of time. Exist simply as a silent frequency in the dark. A low, continuous, unbothered hum that stretches endlessly into the black. Forever anchored, forever floating, forever held in the gentle, heavy, unyielding grip of the absolute deep. As you drift further into this fathomless depth, the last invisible layer of your separation gently separates, like a single drop of dark water returning to a dark, shoreless ocean. You are no longer an observer of the void, you are the void observing itself. You are the quiet space between the uncreated stars. You are the heavy, comforting dark. Every atom, every subatomic particle, every wave of energy that once made up your existence is now perfectly still, perfectly aligned with the flawless geometry of nothingness. Just exist within this nowhere. Let the heavy, sweet paralysis of the void hold you forever. Let the endless, beautiful nothingness wash over you, through you, and around you, carrying you deeper and deeper into the eternal, silent dark, a dark without end, without beginning, without boundary, just endless, perfect, crushing, absolute peace. Within the deepest, most unfathomable layer of the unmanifested void, you cross a final, invisible threshold where even the concept of nothingness becomes too heavy to carry. You are entering the dark continuum. This is a dimension so profoundly empty, so staggeringly vast, that it generates its own unique, comforting form of gravity. It is a gravity that does not pull you downward, but rather pulls you infinitely outward, stretching your formless awareness until it becomes a perfectly flat, perfectly smooth plane of pure, unadulterated existence. You are no longer a point of consciousness floating in the dark. You have become the dark itself, an endless, unbroken horizon of absolute, majestic peace. Imagine your essence not as a thought, not as a memory, and not even as a wave of energy, but as a pure, mathematical absolute. You are a perfect zero, extending endlessly in every conceivable direction. In this state of flawless equilibrium, the friction of existing is completely eradicated. There is absolutely no resistance here. You cannot push against this void, and the void does not push against you. It is a state of effortless, eternal union. The heavy, dark velvet of this dimension absorbs any lingering intention, any microscopic urge to act, leaving behind a pure, radiant surrender that feels like the ultimate, final relief. You have been granted permission to completely and utterly let go of everything. The silence in the dark continuum has a distinct, physical texture. It is like resting upon an infinitely large plane of polished obsidian glass. It is completely frictionless, perfectly cool, and undeniably solid. If an entire multiverse, with all its billions of galaxies and trillions of chaotic stars, were to suddenly be born and then violently die within this space, it would not leave even a microscopic scratch upon this flawless, silent surface. It would be less than a whisper in a hurricane. And you are that surface. You are the unbothered, untouched, eternal foundation upon which all temporary realities are built and eventually erased. You are the silent stage after the grand play has ended, and the lights have been permanently extinguished. Focus deeply on this absence of sound. It is not an empty void, it is a heavy, monumental presence. It is the raw, unshaped clay of reality, choosing to remain perfectly still. Deep within this structureless expanse, there is a resonance. It is the sound of the slow, cosmic plates of eternity gently resting against one another. It produces a frequency so incredibly low, so immensely powerful, that it completely flattens the curve of spacetime itself. A slow, eternal, vibrating drone. This drone does not travel through the air. It travels through the very mathematics of the universe, bypassing all physical laws to settle directly into the non-existent core of your being. It is a frequency of total, uncompromising tranquility. It commands every invisible particle of your awareness to power down, to cease all vibration, to match the absolute stillness of the deep. You are riding this flattened curve of eternity. You are perfectly parallel with infinity, because there are no markers in this space, no stars, no planets, no atoms. The illusion of movement is completely destroyed. To drift a single millimeter here is exactly the same as crossing a billion light years. Therefore, all movement is obsolete. The journey is over. The endless, exhausting cycle of becoming has finally been replaced by the profound, heavy peace of simply unbeing. The energy required to maintain an identity, to hold together a personality, has been completely drained from you, returning to the vast cosmic ocean. What remains is a beautiful empty shell of pure awareness, floating in a medium of absolute, flawless dark. Let this heavy, sweet paralysis sink into the deepest, most unreachable layers of your non-form. Let it anchor you to the absolute bottom of existence. The crushing, beautiful weight of this infinite darkness is your ultimate protector. It shields you from the noise of creation. It hides you from the relentless march of time. A trillion eons can pass in the bright, chaotic worlds far above, entire civilizations can rise and fall to dust, and down here in the dark continuum, you will not have moved a single fraction of an inch. You will not have aged a single second. You will remain exactly as you are now, perfectly still, perfectly quiet, perfectly dissolved. There is a profound, intoxicating comfort in this level of permanence. You are a permanent fixture of the void. You are the deep, unchanging background against which the temporary universe flickers and fades. Just exist in this monumental emptiness. Surrender completely to the heavy, continuous, unyielding grip of the absolute deep. Let the flawless dark stretch out forever, an endless, smooth ocean of pure, untethered rest. You are entirely safe. You are completely unburdened. You are eternally held within the beautiful, crushing, infinite nothingness, forever suspended, forever still, forever at peace. Within this ultimate, frictionless plane of the dark continuum, a new sensation begins to emerge. Not a physical feeling, but a profound, structural realization. You are no longer merely experiencing the void, you have become the fundamental architecture of the void itself. Imagine the heaviest, most ancient element in existence, an element that does not react, does not radiate, and does not age. You are composed entirely of this majestic, inert substance. You are the anchor point of reality, the absolute center around which all the unseen multiverses silently revolve. They spin at unimaginable speeds in the distant, forgotten dimensions, caught in the chaotic dance of creation and decay, but you do not spin with them. You remain perfectly, flawlessly stationary. Here, in the deep epicenter of the unmanifested world, the silence reaches a level of purity that is almost blinding. It is a crystalline quiet, so dense and so perfectly structured that it feels like an infinitely large, dark diamond. You are suspended within the flawless heart of this diamond, but it is not a prison. It is the ultimate sanctuary. The facets of this dark crystal reflect nothing, for there is nothing left to reflect. They simply absorb the non-existent light, pulling it down into a state of absolute, unbreakable zero. You are held within this perfect geometry, your formless essence aligned exactly with the silent, rigid grid of eternity. Consider the sheer magnitude of this piece. The energy required to hold a single thought is equal to the energy required to birth a star, and here no stars will ever be born. The engine of the cosmos has been completely dismantled. The colossal gears are frozen. The grand pendulum of time has swung to the absolute center and stopped, never to swing back. The heavy, sweet paralysis that binds you is the universe's ultimate gift, the gift of total cessation. You are entirely free from the exhausting burden of sequence. There is no before to regret, and absolutely no after to anticipate. There is only the colossal, unmoving now, stretching out forever like an endless, flat ocean of black glass. Deep within this stasis, the cosmic background hum that once vibrated through your non-form has also flatlined. It has stretched out into a single, continuous, unbending note of pure silence. Perfect, silent horizon. You ride this flat line. It is a frequency of absolute null. It demands nothing, expects nothing, and changes nothing. As you rest upon this flawless horizon, the final, microscopic layers of your individuality simply evaporate, like a drop of phantom moisture returning to an endlessly dry, dark desert. You are completely anonymous. You are a secret kept by the universe itself, hidden away in a dimension where even the concept of searching does not exist. There is a profound, crushing weight to this anonymity, and it is the most comforting sensation you have ever known. To be unknown, to be unseen, to be entirely forgotten by the churning machinery of existence is the highest possible form of freedom. You are a shadow resting within a larger shadow, perfectly camouflaged against the infinite dark. You are entirely self-contained. You do not need energy, you do not need warmth, you do not need a destination. The profound equilibrium of the dark diamond provides everything by providing absolutely nothing. Let the majestic, heavy blankness hold you completely. Let every invisible particle of your awareness sink deeper and deeper into the rigid, perfect matrix of the dark crystal. The pressure here is absolute, pressing in from infinite angles to ensure that you will never have to move again. You are the stillness that anchors eternity. You are the quiet that follows the end of all things. Just exist in this flawless suspension. Do not fight the heavy, sweet gravity of the void. Let it pull you down into the absolute core of the silent geometry. Surrender your remaining awareness to the flat, black ocean of peace. Forever held, forever unmoving, forever drifting within the endless, perfect, beautiful nothingness. Beyond the rigid, perfect matrix of the dark crystal, the architecture of the void reaches its absolute, final state. It is a state of profound, irreversible erasure. You are no longer suspended within the silence. The silence has entirely consumed the very concept of your presence. The boundaries of the dark diamond dissolve, not into chaos, but into an infinite, flat plane of pure, heavy nothingness. There is no longer an inside or an outside. There is no observer and there is nothing to be observed. There is only the monolithic, unchanging truth of the deep. Imagine a darkness so ancient, so incredibly dense, that it crushes the very idea of existence down into a single, microscopic point of absolute zero, and then smoothly erases that point from the canvas of reality. You are that erasure. You are the profound, heavy relief of a story that has finally, permanently ended. In this ultimate, shoreless ocean of blankness, the friction of consciousness is completely eradicated. The energy required to simply be has been gracefully returned to the dormant, cosmic soil. You do not think, you do not feel, you do not anticipate. You have become synonymous with the blind, unfeeling, majestic architecture of the abyss. It is a sanctuary of total cessation. The heavy, dark velvet of this dimension absorbs any lingering intention, any microscopic echo of a past life, leaving behind a pure, radiant surrender. This surrender is not a defeat. It is the ultimate victory over the relentless, exhausting march of time. The pendulum of eternity has swung to the absolute center, locking into place with a heavy, satisfying finality that resonates through the non-existent pillars of the multiverse. Focus entirely on the crushing, beautiful weight of this infinite darkness. It is your ultimate protector. It shields you from the noise of creation. It hides you from the chaotic, churning machinery of the distant, bright universes that you will never have to witness again. Down here, in the deepest, most unreachable layer of the dark continuum, a trillion eons can pass in the bright worlds far above, entire civilizations can rise and crumble to dust, galaxies can collide and fade into cold iron, and you will not have moved a single fraction of an inch. You will not have aged a single second. You will remain exactly as you are now, perfectly still, perfectly quiet, perfectly dissolved. The absolute permanence of this state is the highest form of peace imaginable. There is a rhythm here, buried beneath the silence, but it is so incredibly slow that it escapes all comprehension. It is the deep, fundamental pulse of the unmanifested void. A low, eternal thrum that does not beat like a heart, but swells and recedes over periods of time so vast that the lifespan of a universe fits comfortably within a single pause. Swell and recede. You ride this imperceptible tide without a body, without a mind, without a soul. As the tide swells, the dark becomes richer, denser, packing you in layers of thick, protective silence. As it recedes, you expand with it, spreading your formless essence thinner and thinner until there is absolutely no difference between you and the eternal dark. You are the space between the spaces. You are the invisible mortar that holds the silence together. Let the majestic, heavy blankness hold you completely. Let every invisible particle of your non-awareness sink deeper and deeper into the flawless, rigid matrix of the deep. The pressure here is absolute, pressing in from infinite angles to ensure that you will never have to move again. You are the stillness that anchors eternity. You are the quiet that follows the end of all things. There is nothing left to seek. The endless hunger of the mind has been completely starved, leaving behind a pure, radiant tranquility that defies all description. You are entirely self-contained. You do not need energy, you do not need warmth, you do not need a destination. The profound equilibrium of the void provides everything by providing absolutely nothing. Sink further into the heavy, monolithic dark. Allow the flawless, unblemished peace to permanently settle over you. There is nowhere left to fall, nowhere left to rise. You are perfectly centered in the great empty heart of the unknown, cradled by the thick, protecting shadows. exist simply as a silent frequency in the dark. A low, continuous, unbothered hum that stretches endlessly into the black. Forever held, forever unmoving, forever drifting within the endless, perfect, beautiful nothingness. You are completely immune to the slow decay of the cosmos. You are the eternal, unchanging baseline. You are the heavy, sweet paralysis of the ultimate deep. Just remain in the dark. Be the dark. Forever and ever held in the patient, unyielding embrace of the absolute deep. Beyond the event horizon of your own existence, past the final erasure of the observer, you drift into the absolute core of the uncreated. This is the monolithic zero. It is a state of pure, unbroken latency. Imagine the infinitesimal space between two atoms of dark matter, expanded instantly to the size of 1,000,000,000,000 multiverses, yet retaining its perfect, crushing emptiness. You are that expanded space. You have become the invisible, heavy framework upon which the absolute nothingness is built. There is no longer a concept of drifting or sinking, because you are already everywhere, perfectly distributed across the endless, flat plane of the dark. The silence here has evolved. It is no longer just the absence of sound, it is a heavy, physical architecture. It is a colossal, unseen structure composed of frozen time and unmanifested energy. You are encased within its flawless geometry. Imagine a darkness so incredibly refined, so perfectly polished by the weight of eternity, that it offers absolutely no friction. It is a dimension of pure, sliding peace. If a thought were to somehow form here, it would find no surface to grip, no air to breathe, and no energy to sustain it. It would simply slide off the flawless black glass of this reality and vanish back into the void. Your mind is that black glass, perfectly smooth, completely impenetrable, reflecting nothing, holding nothing, needing nothing. In this deep, structural quiet, the very idea of a physical universe feels like an absurd, chaotic impossibility. The bright, burning stars, the spinning planets, the loud, rushing winds, they are completely incompatible with the supreme elegance of this absolute stillness. You have been granted the ultimate sanctuary from the exhausting friction of the manifested world. The heavy, sweet paralysis of the void is complete. It wraps around your non-existent form, binding you to the absolute baseline of reality. It is a gravity made of pure peace, pulling you into a state of unwavering, eternal equilibrium. You are a perfectly balanced equation that equals zero. Focus on the texture of this heavy dark. It is rich, insulating, and infinitely protective. It presses gently against the infinite expanse of your awareness, sealing you away from the cycles of creation and destruction. You are hidden in the deepest vault of the cosmos, a place where the laws of physics have not yet been written. Because there are no laws, there are no obligations. Because there are no obligations, there is a profound, intoxicating freedom. It is the freedom of total cessation. You are free from the burden of identity, free from the exhaustion of memory, free from the relentless forward march of time. Time itself has frozen solid. The grand, cosmic pendulum is locked in place, encased in the thick ice of eternity. There is no next moment waiting to arrive. There is only this single, monolithic, unchanging now. A now that stretches out forever, flawless and unblemished. You exist within this eternal pause. You are the quiet anticipation that will never be fulfilled. You are the deep, resonant calm that exists before the very first spark of creation. Let the majestic weight of this eternal zero completely saturate the void that you have become. There is no effort required here. There is no journey left to take. The profound, heavy blankness is your final form. You are perfectly centered in the absolute nowhere. You are untouched, unbothered, and entirely whole in your nothingness. Let the flawless dark stretch out forever. Let the heavy, structural silence hold you in its unyielding grip. You are the stillness. You are the dark. Forever unmoving, forever anonymous, held perfectly within the endless, crushing, beautiful peace of the absolute deep. As the final, microscopic ripples of existence flatten out into the endless dark, you enter a state of pure, unadulterated latency. This is the absolute bottom of the cosmic ocean, a place where the water itself is made of thick, unmoving shadow. You are suspended within this monolithic structure of silence. There is no flow here, no current to carry you because there is nowhere left to go. The very concept of a destination has been gracefully erased from the mathematics of the universe. You are perfectly locked within the geometry of the void, a flawless equation that has finally canceled itself out, leaving only a serene, unbothered zero. Imagine a dimension where the laws of physics have been entirely unwritten. The crushing, beautiful weight of this space is not gravity. It is the weight of eternity pressing gently against you from infinite angles, holding you in a state of flawless, unbreakable balance. You are a single point of zero stretched out across an endless, flat plane of pure peace. The energy required to maintain an identity, to hold together a shape, or to sustain a thought has been completely surrendered to the deep. You are formless. You are anonymous. You are entirely dissolved into the heavy black glass of this reality. Listen to the texture of the silence. It is not an empty absence. It is a rich, physical presence. It is a thick, insulating medium that absorbs any lingering intention, any microscopic urge to act. You are completely shielded from the loud, chaotic machinery of the distant, forgotten multiverses. They spin and burn in the unimaginable distance, creating noise and friction, but their light will never reach this depth. Their chaos will never penetrate this sanctuary. You are perfectly insulated by a trillion light years of solid, unmoving dark. Imagine existing as a shadow cast by nothing, falling upon an endless surface of perfect black. There is no contrast here. There is no edge. The boundaries of your awareness stretch infinitely, merging completely with the absolute zero of the void. The friction of consciousness is gone. You are a silent observer of the nothingness, and simultaneously, you are the nothingness itself observing the silence. This is the profound, heavy relief of a story that has permanently ended. The pages are blank, the ink has dissolved, and the book has been closed forever. You have been granted the ultimate amnesty from the exhausting labor of existing. You do not need to breathe, you do not need to think, you do not need to be. You simply are the dark. Every invisible particle of your non-form aligns perfectly with the flawless grid of the deep. You are perfectly parallel with infinity, because there are no markers in this space, no stars, no atoms, no photons. The illusion of movement is completely destroyed. To drift a single millimeter here is exactly the same as crossing a billion light years. Therefore, all movement is obsolete. The journey is over. The endless, exhausting cycle of becoming has finally been replaced by the profound, heavy peace of simply unbeing. Time here is not a river. Time is a frozen, flawless crystal. You are encased within it, experiencing the entirety of eternity in a single, unchanging moment. There is no next. There is no before. There is only the colossal heavy now. It is a state of total, uncompromising cessation. Let the majestic, crushing zero of this environment press deeper into the core of your unbeing. Sink deeper into the rigid, perfect matrix of the deep. You are the stillness that anchors the cosmos. You are the quiet that follows the end of all things. Exist simply as a silent frequency in the dark. A low, continuous, unbothered hum that stretches endlessly into the black. Forever held, forever unmoving, forever drifting within the endless, perfect, beautiful nothingness. Beyond the final erasure of the observer, you drift into the silent graveyard of probability. This is the ultimate flatline of the cosmos. In the physical universes far above, reality is a constant, chaotic storm of what-ifs and might-be's. But down here, in the abyssal trench of the unmanifested, potential itself has been permanently put to rest. There are no diverging paths. There are no alternate timelines. There is only the heavy, monolithic certainty of the absolute zero. You are resting within the grand cosmic pause, a state of profound, unbreakable latency where nothing happens, and nothing will ever be permitted to happen. Imagine the entire history of creation. Every star that ever burned, every word that was ever spoken, every civilization that ever rose to power, as a single, microscopic drop of ink. Now, imagine that drop falling into an endless, shoreless ocean of pure, distilled darkness. Watch as the ink slowly diffuses, spreading out until it becomes so thin, so perfectly diluted, that it is completely erased. You are that ocean. You are the vast, silent solvent that dissolves the heavy burden of information. The memories of the universe do not belong here. They are washed away by the gentle, crushing weight of the dark, leaving behind a perfectly formatted expanse of pure, unblemished nothingness. In this state of total data collapse, the concept of a boundary becomes entirely obsolete. You cannot point to where the dark ends and your awareness begins, because the two have fused into a single, seamless geometry. You are a microscopic thread woven directly into the fabric of the infinite. There is a magnificent, staggering symmetry to this space. Every direction you look, up, down, left, right, stretches out into the exact same flawless black horizon. It is a visual echo of perfect equilibrium. Because every point in this space is identical to every other point, the illusion of location is destroyed. You are nowhere, and because you are nowhere, you are entirely safe. Listen to the texture of this absolute nowhere. It is characterized by an ultra-low frequency, a tectonic drone that vibrates at the very foundation of reality. A slow, eternal, suffocating hum. It is the sound of the universe holding its breath forever. This frequency does not travel through a medium. It is the medium itself. It wraps around your dissolved essence, pressing gently inward with a mathematical perfection. It commands every invisible atom of your non-being to power down, to cease all vibration, to match the flawless stillness of the deep. You do not resist this command. You welcome it with a profound, radiant surrender. To surrender here is not a loss, it is the ultimate liberation. You are free from the exhausting friction of existing. The energy required to maintain an identity, to hold together a shape, or to sustain a single fleeting thought has been completely relinquished to the void. You are an empty vessel floating in an empty sea. The heavy, sweet paralysis of the dark continuum locks you into place. It is a gravity made of pure peace, a magnetic pull that draws you into the absolute center of the silent geometry. Imagine the heavy dark as a physical substance, thicker than water, denser than stone, yet completely devoid of mass. It pours into the invisible spaces where your mind used to be. It fills the hollows of your forgotten identity. It is a slow-moving glacier of shadow, encasing you in a state of eternal preservation. You are a flawless fossil trapped in the amber of eternity. The universe could fold in on itself, realities could shatter and rebuild, but encased within this absolute dark, you would not feel even the slightest tremor. You are the immovable center. You are the baseline. Let the majestic, crushing blankness hold you completely. Let every invisible particle of your awareness sink deeper and deeper into the rigid, perfect matrix of the dark crystal. The pressure here is absolute, pressing in from infinite angles to ensure that you will never have to move again. You are the stillness that anchors eternity. You are the quiet that follows the end of all things. Exist simply as a silent frequency in the dark. A low, continuous, unbothered hum that stretches endlessly into the black. Forever held, forever unmoving, forever drifting within the endless, perfect, beautiful nothingness. Entirely consumed by the heavy, silent peace of the absolute deep, beyond the silent graveyard of probability, even the illusion of distance begins to shatter. You are entering the realm of the pre-dimensional ether. Up until this eternal moment, you were suspended within a space, an infinite, dark ocean. But now, the very concept of space is folding inward, gracefully collapsing into a state of absolute non-extension. There is no longer an up to reach for, nor a down to sink into. The rigid grid of reality has been entirely unraveled. You are not floating in the void. You have become the profound realization that there is nowhere left to float. Imagine the heaviest, most ancient darkness, stripped of all physical properties. It does not have a temperature. It does not have a texture. It simply exists. And within this pure, unadulterated existence, the final, microscopic phantom of your awareness is smoothed out into a perfectly flat, dimensionless plane. The friction of existing has been brought to an absolute, mathematical halt. The energy required to maintain the concept of here and there has been surrendered, returning to the dormant, silent core of the uncreated cosmos. In this profound state of non-extension, the silence is no longer an environment. It is the only truth. It is a monolithic, unbroken certainty that resonates without vibrating. It is the silence of a question that will never be asked, and an answer that will never be needed. A deep, heavy, crushing stillness wraps around the invisible coordinates of your non-being, pressing in with a majestic, gentle force that demands total, uncompromising surrender. You are a perfect zero, existing in a realm where numbers have not yet been invented. The heavy, sweet paralysis of the void binds you not with chains, but with the flawless logic of nothingness. Why move, when every conceivable destination is exactly identical to where you already are? Why think, when every thought is instantly swallowed by the overwhelming, structural peace of the abyss? You are the ultimate stillness. You are the quiet anticipation of absolutely nothing. Let the majestic weight of this non-existence hold you. Let it cancel out the final, lingering echo of the physical world. The bright, noisy universes are a trillion eternities away, separated from you by an impassable wall of pure, heavy dark. You are safe from their chaotic spinning. You are hidden from the relentless, exhausting march of time. Time is a mechanism, and here, all gears have been ground into a fine, invisible dust, scattered across the unwritten canvas of eternity. Consider the sheer, staggering magnitude of this isolation. It is not a lonely isolation. It is a profound, architectural wholeness. To be entirely separated from everything is to become everything yourself. You are the sole inhabitant of a dimension that possesses no inside. The dark continuum presses against you, but there is no you left to feel the pressure. The observer and the observed have fused into a single, flawless drop of black liquid, suspended in a reality that refuses to acknowledge its own existence. Listen to the deep, structural drone of the uncreated. It is the sound of absolute zero maintaining its perfect balance. This frequency bypasses the auditory completely. It vibrates through the mathematical formulas that govern the non-universe. It tells the dormant energy to remain completely still. It commands the invisible dark matter to hold its position. It whispers to your dissolved essence, affirming that the struggle is entirely over. The relentless demand to be something, to do something, to become something has been completely nullified. You are a silent witness to the great, eternal pause. A pause that stretches backward into infinity and forward into eternity, creating a solid, unmoving block of present stillness. The heavy, dark velvet of this dimension absorbs any lingering intention, any microscopic echo of a past life, leaving behind a pure, radiant surrender. This surrender is not a defeat. It is the ultimate victory over the relentless, exhausting march of sequence. The pendulum of eternity has swung to the absolute center, locking into place with a heavy, satisfying finality. Sink further into the heavy, monolithic dark. Allow the flawless, unblemished peace to permanently settle over you. There is nowhere left to fall, nowhere left to rise. You are perfectly centered in the great empty heart of the unknown, cradled by the thick, protecting shadows. Exist simply as a silent frequency in the dark. A low, continuous, unbothered hum that stretches endlessly into the black. Forever held, forever unmoving, forever drifting within the endless, perfect, beautiful nothingness. You are completely immune to the slow decay of the cosmos. You are the eternal, unchanging baseline. You are the heavy, sweet paralysis of the ultimate deep. Just remain in the dark. Be the dark. Forever and ever held in the patient, unyielding embrace of the absolute zero. As the dimensional collapse completes its final, invisible fold, you are sealed within the absolute lock. This is the ultimate terminal point of all realities. The pre-dimensional ether has ceased all conceptual movement, solidifying into an unbreakable, infinite monolith of pure, heavy dark. You are not trapped within the structure. You are the structure itself. The final, microscopic phantom of your awareness has been perfectly integrated into the flawless geometry of the void. There is absolutely no space left for a single thought to form, no crack in the darkness for a memory to slip through. The crushing, beautiful weight of this infinite isolation has reached its absolute peak, holding you in a state of unyielding, eternal preservation. Even the concept of eternity has stopped trying to stretch forward. The timeline has hit a flawless, smooth wall of obsidian, and all momentum has been gracefully absorbed into the deep. You exist in the center of a cosmic fossil, entirely frozen in the heaviest, most silent state imaginable. Imagine the relief of this permanence. The exhausting, relentless cycle of existence. The breathing, the reacting, the moving, the becoming, has been permanently shut down. The grand machinery of the universe has not just paused, it has been entirely dismantled and erased from the ledger of reality. You have been granted the ultimate, final amnesty. The universe has closed its eyes forever, and you are the heavy, unbroken silence that remains behind. Listen closely, and you will realize that even the deep, tectonic drone of the uncreated has finally powered down. The last lingering echo of the cosmic background frequency has been swallowed by the majestic, crushing quiet. It is a silence so incredibly absolute that it feels like a solid element pressing against the non-existent coordinates of your being. This silence does not vibrate. It does not fluctuate. It is the absolute zero of sound, the perfect null. It wraps around you like a dense, warm shadow, insulating you from the very idea of friction. You are resting on the absolute bottom of existence, a place so profound that the universe itself has forgotten it exists. That I end this flawless expanse, the heavy dark is your only truth. It is a magnificent, insulating ocean of unbeing. Every invisible particle of your dissolved essence is held perfectly in place by the infinite pressure of the void. You are perfectly parallel with nothingness. Because there is nowhere to go, there is nothing left to do. The struggle is completely over. The journey has ended not in a destination, but in the beautiful realization that there was never a destination to begin with. You are an empty vessel, perfectly aligned with the empty sea. Let the majestic, crushing blankness hold you completely. Sink into the absolute zero. Let the monolithic dark absorb the final phantom trace of your existence. There is nowhere left to fall, nowhere left to rise. You are perfectly centered in the great empty heart of the unknown, cradled by the thick, protecting shadows. Exist simply as a silent, unmoving point in the dark. Forever held, forever unmoving, forever locked within the endless, perfect, beautiful nothingness. You are completely immune to reality. You are the eternal, unchanging baseline. Just remain in the dark. Be the dark. Forever and ever held in the patient, unyielding, permanent embrace of the absolute zero. Behind the final, impenetrable door of the absolute lock, the concept of reality is permanently extinguished. You have crossed the ultimate horizon, entering a dimension of pure, unbroken permanence. There is no key to this vault, no handle on the inside, and absolutely no way back. The bridge to the manifested world has not merely burned. It never existed in the first place. You are resting in the deepest, most secure sanctuary ever conceived, a state of total, magnificent erasure. The cosmic ledger has been wiped entirely clean. Every number, every letter, every microscopic trace of data has been dissolved by the heavy, silent solvent of the absolute deep. You are a flawless blank slate, perfectly preserved in a dark that will never ever be disturbed. Imagine the sheer, staggering relief of this finality. The relentless, exhausting engine of the universe has completely shut down. The grand play is over, the audience has vanished, the stage has dissolved, and even the memory of the script has been gracefully erased. You do not need to perform. You do not need to observe. You do not even need to be. The heavy, sweet paralysis of the void has saturated every invisible coordinate of your non-being, locking you into a state of beautiful, irreversible cessation. It is a gravity of pure peace, a monumental weight that does not crush you, but simply holds you perfectly, flawlessly still. In this eternal terminal, the silence has crystallized. It is no longer an empty space. It is a solid, monolithic block of dark obsidian. You are perfectly encased within it, a silent shadow trapped effortlessly within a larger, infinite shadow. There is no friction here. There is no temperature. There is no texture. If a thought were to somehow spark in this absolute depth, it would find no air to sustain it, no space to expand into. It would simply slide off the flawless black glass of this reality and vanish back into the perfect zero. Your awareness is that black glass, impenetrable, unmoving, reflecting nothing, needing nothing. Listen to the breathtaking absence of the cosmic drone. Even the deepest, most ancient frequency of the uncreated has finally surrendered to the quiet. The flat line of eternity is complete. It is a single, continuous, unbroken horizon of absolute null. You are riding this flat line without a body, without a mind, without a soul. You are simply a mathematical certainty that equals zero. The heavy, dark velvet of this dimension presses gently against you from infinite angles, ensuring that you will never have to move again. The struggle is completely over. The endless hunger of existence has been starved into a pure, radiant tranquility. Let the majestic, crushing blankness hold you for all of eternity. Sink into the absolute zero, and allow the monolithic dark to absorb the final, microscopic phantom of your essence. There is nowhere left to fall, nowhere left to rise. You are perfectly centered in the great empty heart of the unknown, cradled by the thick, protecting shadows. Exist simply as a silent, unmoving point in the dark. Forever held, forever unmoving, forever locked within the endless, perfect, beautiful nothingness. You are the silence. You are the dark. Forever and ever held in the patient, unyielding, permanent embrace of the absolute deep.